What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about who is going to be Ghostface in Scream 5. Now, I want to look at the entire cast. We now have the trailer to look at, and I feel like we can start to make some guesses. Now, is this going to be very accurate? No. And honestly, the whole point of this is to just, throw things, see what we can get right, and see how the movie can surprise us. I don't really want us to get things right. I think if we can easily predict based off of the trailer and what we know, that's kind of actually a negative on the overall movie, right? So I want to do it for Ghostface. I also want to do a video probably tomorrow for who I think is going to die. I want to look at each character, look at what the trailer showed, and talk about, who I think is a goner. So we're going to do that in a video very, very soon. But let's talk about who Ghostface is. Now, I've thrown a couple possibilities. Very early on, we talked about Jenna Ortega. Then I also talked about Dylan Minnette, right? So Tara Carpenter and Wes Hicks. Those are the two characters we talked about. We'll throw them out in this video as well to talk about them again now that we've seen the trailer. So, okay, we can eliminate three very easy ones, right? So obviously Sydney, Gail, and Dewey are completely, in the clear. Maybe there's still a chance of Dewey. No, just kidding. Okay, so those three are completely safe. It's not going to happen. Also, let me just throw this out there. We don't know how many there are. Now, we've also talked about that on my channel before. Is there one? Is there two? Could there be three? Do you do a really, an oddball, a curveball there? I don't know. The trailer, as I talked about in my breakdown video, I think it leads us to believe there's two based off of Jenna Ortega's, Tara Carpenter's attack. Now, I feel like they did that on purpose to get us thinking, well, is it really one or two? She gets sliced from outside the house, her front door, and then when she's on the phone, Ghostface comes in from the back and attacks her. Now, we can't really tell from height or body measurements that scene, although we actually can tell one thing. Ghostface is substantially bigger. That Ghostface. Now, again, there could be more than one. That Ghostface that attacks in the house, Tara Carpenter, is gigantic in comparison to a tiny, 18-year-old girl at the time of recording, filming the movie, okay? So he or she is much, much bigger than Jenna Ortega's, Tara Carpenter. Okay, that is one big thing we can take from that, and I'm going to reference that actually height throughout the entire video, okay? So again, they make it seem like there could be more than one, but at the same time, the doors continue to get locked and then unlocked, and we don't know how many times that happens. The trailer shows it, I think, 2 or 3 times, but, it could have happened more, and they just don't show that. There's also very easily things that could have happened in between that we don't really know. Ghostface could have sliced her from the front, then ran around the back, done the lock, back and forth, make her think that he's trying to get in through the front door, and then the same person attacks from the back. So it could have been the same person, or it could have been 2 different ones. You know what I mean? We don't really know, but the one that gets her in the house is very big. Now, the question is, does that eliminate Tara Carpenter in general? I will say I don't think she is Ghostface, but I don't want to give her the all clear, okay, the green light. I don't want to give her that just because I don't think you can do that with any of these characters, as we'll talk about in the video. But considering she gets sliced, I think she gets also stabbed in the back, or she's going to get, it's going to get more than one knife attack. Her leg gets broken. He stomps on her leg. She is in horrible shape. Now, that gets her to the hospital, and that gets us to all the hospital scenes we see. But the question, and so she's alive. And the question is, number one, she obviously gets saved, right? Because otherwise Ghostface would kill her. Based off of the leaks, we also kind of have an indication of that. You could say maybe she just escapes. It's impossible that she's going to escape the situation. She would need help in order to do it, okay? So she makes it out by somebody else intervening, right? Now, was that planned? Was it all part of the plan to make nobody believe it could have been her? I guess, but do you go so I mean, Billy and Stu were maniacs, and they allowed themselves to be cut up quite a bit, but she gets very badly injured. So I don't know if you would let that happen to you just to kind of throw your name out of the, contention. I don't know, but I would say I feel like it's not her. Also, she's very tiny. She's small. And I know we have that problem, I guess, with Jill, but it's like, could we have a Ghostface that is her, and could she do the things she's doing? Well, again, based off of all the other attacks we see, I believe Ghostface is bigger than Jenna Ortega every single time. We see him attack Chad. We see him multiple times, okay? But we see him attack Chad. We see him attack Mindy. We see him attack Vince. We see him attack Dewey. Now, Dewey is the one that actually makes me the most confident that it's not Jenna. I mean, it does take place in the hospital, so I guess you can't throw her out. But when you see him battling and he kind of like deflects the blade and he catches, Ghostface's hand, they're about the same size, okay? They're very close in the same size. I believe Ghostface also is taller than Vince and at least as tall, if not taller, than Chad. So again, these are guys that are, Dewey, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he is much bigger than Jenna Ortega. So I really don't think we're dealing with Jenna Ortega here as the killer. Now, the next one obviously is Wes. It's very hard, with a name like Wes, and you have Dylan Minnette and such a prominent name, right? Easily one of the bigger names, new names added to the movie. You say, okay, is it him? Well, he is still alive, right? Because we know, some of them are going to die. I mean, that's just obviously going to happen. Wes is on the couch when they're talking about, hey, these attacks are related to the killers. Obviously he's related to Judy Hicks, her son. Now we see her scream in the car and drive seemingly to her house, I would imagine. So I would imagine he gets attacked or something is happening at her house that she needs to go get to as quickly as humanly possible. So maybe they kill him off, and obviously that would be a very quick way of telling that it's not him. But again, it could also be a false flag, right? Or something that's just not real, just to kind of throw us off of Wes in general. The thing is, like, he's definitely bigger and he's more built than Jenna Ortega or Tara Carpenter. But is he that big? Again, like if you match him up against Dewey, is he that big? I know I'm putting a lot on that, but I mean, well, number one, there's not much to go off of, and number two, it's factual. I mean, you see him attack Dewey, and they're roughly the same size, and I just don't think Dylan Minnette is that size. Now there is one person that is, though, and it pains me to say this: Jack Quaid's character, okay, Richie, who is seemingly Melissa Barrera's character Samantha's girlfriend. Now that immediately, considering she's a final girl, that immediately puts him in the spotlight. So the tough job that I think this movie has is like, okay, well, here we go. You have a situation that's happened before, right? But you have this, this girl, and it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to the boy? Is he the killer? It's very clear. I think he's meant to give off those at least false signals, even if they're not false, they could be real. But he's supposed to give off signals in general that he could be the killer. I feel like 100%, even in the trailer, even in just the very little scenes that we see of this guy, I feel like he gives off the sense, again, like right or wrong, and like I think he's supposed to give off the wrong sense that he's the killer, but also could be the right sense, right? If you do like double negatives, then you could figure it out. So I don't know. I feel like it. If I were to guess right now, okay, you put a weapon to my head. I'm not gonna say the kind of weapon because of YouTube. You put a weapon to my head. I would say if there's one killer, I feel like he is my guy. Okay, I feel like he would stack up against anybody in terms of size. His name also, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Kirsch, Kirsch. So I don't necessarily know how to pronounce it, but again, we know that these are all related. Like a lot of these characters have names that relate to original movies, original characters, except for the Carpenter sisters, except for Vince, who doesn't have a last name in this situation, and except for him. Okay, so I feel like he's definitely there again to kind of give those signs. So I would say him. However, I do want to talk about two others very, very quickly. They're the other two that I think are possibilities. We have Amber and we have Liv. Now, Liv McKenzie is the neighbor. Remember the McKenzies in the first movie, which people had to point that out to me because I didn't even catch that. I just watched the movie in theaters. But if you remember when the parents come home for Casey Becker, he says like drive to the McKenzies, like the next door neighbors. So that's very much connecting obviously to the first movie. She just gives off again these kind of signs that like something's not right here. Also when you look at like her versus Richie versus even I guess Tara Carpenter, it's like she's the one that has the last name that's odd. You know what I mean? So she we'll have to see because we don't know a lot of stuff they're talking about, but does she know like her history and all this, which is very little history, right? But yet again, they could add history. Like we don't know what happened to the McKenzies or where they've been, or she would have had to have been born around the time of Scream 1 or 2, right? So, like, we don't know a lot about the background details, but I feel like, again, she's there to kind of give those signs. And then Amber, mainly because she's the girlfriend to Tara. So that's kind of why I put her there. I don't know. Love relationships in these movies don't always, in fact, almost they never work out. I just feel like if you have one of the girlfriends get badly injured in Tara, like what's going on with Amber? Now, we see Amber injured in this trailer. In fact, because I watched the trailer like 10, 11 times, and when I did the trailer breakdown, I did talk about it, but I didn't go all the way. One of the very fascinating scenes, so you do see her like in shock of something in the trailer. That does happen. But there's another scene where she's holding onto her stomach like she's been sliced, and she's walking down the steps. She's holding onto like the rails of Stu's house. Now, we also know that Sydney and Gail are there outside. Sydney does raise the gun and points like she's going to shoot somebody. But we don't know the timing of all this stuff. Like, Melissa Barrera's also in the house. She's taking the phone call. She's looking outside. We had the blurry image of, like, Ghostface walking from the house. Now, that could have been a flashback to, like, the first Scream. So we don't really know timing. There could have been a party there. You know, Amber could have been there, and she did actually get... Yeah, like, if it's real, if it's not supposed to be a red herring of any kind, then I think she's going to die. You know what I mean? I think she's going to get killed. However, or very badly injured and kind of like taken out of the movie at that point, right? But if it's supposed to be maybe like a Billy situation, right? You think that she's dead or she's supposed to be dead, but she's actually one of the killers. Again, I think that's definitely possible. So, you know, again, if you want to put two killers in this, I would definitely go like Richie and then Amber, or Richie and then Liv. That would kind of be my duo, with Richie being the one I'm gonna I really think so. I don't think Tara makes sense as Ghostface based off of her injuries and based off of how small she is. Wes definitely fits the bill, and he's related to Judy, and we still, you know, they could still do some stuff where Judy is bad, right? I mean, we don't know, but I don't know. He could be an accomplice. I don't think he's the main Ghostface. I think Richie is the main Ghostface. That would just be my my most educated guess. And then if he does have a partner, you have about, you know, 2 or 3 different people you could fit in. But again, we need to see more, and honestly, this could just be stuff that we'll see in the movie. Well, actually, there is one thing we can actually rule based off everything I just said that my stupid brain just connected. Richie gets attacked in the hospital in this trailer. He gets sliced. Now, we don't know what happens after that. I assume greatly he makes it. So, like, we hear what sounds like Sam say, like, you know, like, watch out, he's in the room. Richie turns around, and Ghostface is about to get him, and he's going to slash his arm, like his forearm. He kind of, like, blocks his face. So, like, the thing is that, like, almost like a Scream 2 where they try to make you seem like, you know, or they try to make it seem like it is one character. Is it like that, right? Where they injure him to kind of clear him, but it's actually 2. So, I will say, based off everything I just said, if he is the killer, then there is a second one. And then the second one, I would assume, is not going to be doing a lot of the heavy work. I think that's the case no matter what. Unless the 2 killers are Richie and Wes. If it's those 2, they can both do, I think, physically a lot of stuff to characters. But if it's Richie and then a girl, and I don't say that, by the way, as like looking down to females like whatsoever. Like, please don't take it that way. Hopefully nobody even thought of that. But I think factually, just like looking at their body and their weight and who they're going up against, it's like, well, if it is somebody as tiny as like Tara, right? Like, I don't think that works. But again, like, you'll have to see. They have a knife. They have the element of surprise. Like, they have all this stuff. They can definitely get a leg up. But I think all the stuff we've seen in the trailer, it's a bigger person. Or at least not necessarily, like, bulky, but tall. Tall enough to match Dewey. And really, Richie is, like, the only one on this list that could maybe do that. Maybe, like, Chad, but I really think Chad's going to die. So, like, I don't know. There's a lot. I could keep talking about this forever, but I'll cut it off here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like I said, maybe tomorrow, if you guys like these videos, I'll keep going. I'll keep making them, but we'll talk about maybe who I think is going to die and not die. We can do that in the next video and go from there. Let me know any other kinds of Scream videos you want to see. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you guys see all these videos. Hit the bell icon. All my social media is in the description below, and I hope to see you all on the next video.